The lower priced alternative to the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro is now finally available. Let's find out how the standard Retroid Pocket 4 compares as we check out the hardware and software, run some system benchmarks and try some games and emulators. Which is the best performance versus price? Keep watching to find out. A very brief unboxing for the Retroid Pocket 4. We will check it out in more detail in a moment. Underneath is a user guide which doesn't really help much, but there is a proper guide on the Retroid app. And there is a USB Type-C charge cable. Told you it was brief. Both the Retroid Pocket 4 and 4 Pro measure 7.2 by 3.1 by 0.9 inches and weighs 269 grams. They are available in 6 colours: 16-bit, 16-bit US, black, crystal, ice blue and watermelon. The display is an IPS touchscreen measuring 4.7 inches with a 750 by 1334 resolution. We recommend updating to the latest firmware as it fixes an issue with a green tint on the screen and gives a more natural white colour in particular. You have all the usual controls including D-pad, analogues and gaming buttons. On the bottom left area are home and back buttons for Android usage. The top has shoulder and trigger buttons on either side, followed by a micro HDMI port for output to a monitor or TV. There's also the volume rocker and power button. On the bottom is a covered micro SD card slot, 3.5mm headphone port and USB Type-C port for charging and data. Under the hood are some different technical specifications between the two models. The Retroid Pocket 4 has the Dimensity 900 with 2 A78 and 6 A55 cores. For the graphics there is the Mali G68 MC4. The Retroid Pocket 4 Pro has the higher performing Dimensity 1100 processor, which also has 8 cores but with 4 A78 and 4 A55. For the graphics there is the Mali G77 MC9. For RAM, the Pocket 4 has 4GB and 4 Pro has 8GB of LPDDR4x RAM. For storage, both models have 128GB of UFS 3.1 storage and a micro SD card slot for additional. For communications, both models have Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2. In our original Pocket 4 Pro review, we got roughly 2 hours 50 minutes whilst running that Antutu benchmark on a loop using the performance profile. With the Pocket 4 we got an extra 40 minutes with 3 hours 30 minutes. Both devices' cooling are the same, so it was no surprise that we got roughly the same results in our fan noise and temperature tests. We got a highest fan noise of 55 decibels whilst using the smart profile, and for the highest temperature it was around 42 degrees. We will now run some system benchmarks to see how the Retroid Pocket 4 and 4 Pro perform against each other, as well as some other Android based handhelds. We start the benchmarks with Geekbench, which tests the processor's single and multi-core performance. For the Pocket 4 we got a single core score of 767 and multi-core 2207. And for the Pocket 4 Pro we get an increase of 818 and 3142. Compared with the other devices, we can see the Pocket 4 is in the ballpark of the AYN Odin Pro and Ambinic RG556, whereas the 4 Pro is comparable to the more expensive Neo Pocket Air. And Tutu is a general overview series of tests from general usage, media playback and UI performance. We got a score of around 508,000 on the Retroid Pocket 4 and 740,000 on the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. Compared with other devices, that puts the Pocket 4 again in line with the Ambinic RG556, and the 4 Pro this time slightly behind the Neo Pocket Air. Our final benchmark is 3D Mark, which tests the performance of the CPU and GPU working together. The Retroid Pocket 4 scores 5208 on Slingshot and 598 on the Wildlife Extreme benchmarks. The Pocket 4 Pro maxed out on the Slingshot benchmark and scored a very respectable 1268 on Wildlife Extreme. Compared with other devices, the Pocket 4 again is in line with the RG556 and the 4 Pro with the Neo Pocket Air. We all know that the 4 Pro was going to outperform the Pocket 4, but the increase in performance was quite surprising. On Geekbench we see a 6% and 42% increase on single and multi-core performance respectively. On Antutu we see an increase of around 45% in favour of the Pocket 4 Pro. And on 3D Mark we see a 112% increase on Wildlife Extreme for the 4 Pro. We can't accurately tell the increase on Slingshot as the score maxed out and doesn't report what the highest score is. We know from our Retroid Pocket 4 Pro review that gaming and emulation are both great. Check out that video if you want to see game and emulation footage for the 4 Pro. We tried a few different games on the Pocket 4 and saw no real difference in performance compared to the 4 Pro. This could include some behind the scenes graphic settings being set lower, but generally I find Android games are designed to work on a certain standard to cover all bases. So for Android gaming, both are perfectly fine for this. For emulation, you're going to see decent performance on both devices. Some things to keep in mind are that Ether SX2, Citra and Yuzu emulators are no longer in development. These are the three high-end emulators and they are quite demanding. We saw in our Retroid Pocket 4 Pro review some very good performance on these three emulators. I tried the same games on the Retroid Pocket 4 to compare. On Ether SX2 I saw that Gran Turismo 3 did drop to around 40 frames per second in busy scenes, compared to the 4 Pro remaining mostly at 60. On Citra there was shader cache lag on both devices. The 4 Pro had smaller freezes and lower drops in frames compared to the Pocket 4, which had longer and higher drops in frame rates. However, once shaders had been cached, I did not see a massive difference in overall performance between the two models. The Vita 3K emulator performs very well on the Pocket 4. There are some minor shader cache lags, but overall it runs very well. The performance on the Pocket 4 Pro means that you can run games at 2x resolution, which is a nice feature to have. And last but not least is Yuzu. Unfortunately, I only have cave story footage, as Yuzu stopped running some games when I was filming the footage for this video. But from my tests the day before, on the Retroid Pocket 4 we get some okay performance on Cruising Blast. We did get a lot of freezes and frame drops playing the game the first time round, but it was fairly smooth when racing the same map again. On the Pocket 4 Pro we saw less time freezing and an overall smoother experience in comparison when first playing. To sum up our thoughts on both the Retroid Pocket 4 and Pocket 4 Pro. In our system benchmarks we saw anything from a 6% up to 112% increase in performance across the tests. I would say that the Pocket 4 Pro is on average twice as fast, but it can depend on the software being used in terms of CPU and GPU demand. The price is for many of us an important factor when buying a handheld. There is roughly a 25% difference in price, around $70 a pound. The Pocket 4 is a decent price and comparable with other similar specification handhelds. However, the Pocket 4 Pro represents excellent value for money. To put it in comparison, it mostly matches performance with the Iron EO Pocket Air, and that costs twice as much as the 4 Pro. So if you want the best performance for your money, I would recommend the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. We see double the performance for around 25% price difference. That's not to say the Retroid Pocket 4 is bad. It is lower cost and as such is lower performance, but is that a bad thing? See it this way, for all of the Android games we played we had no issues with performance. And for emulation, it was only until we tried the higher end emulators that we saw differences in performance. Now consider that 3 of the 4 high-end emulators are no longer being developed for, and it may be some time until there are replacements for them. With a little bit of patience, these emulators kind of run okay on the Pocket 4. Sure, you may need to play through the levels once or twice for example in order to generate the shader caches, but that's not for every game. All of the earlier emulators, such as DuckStation, run amazingly well on the Pocket 4. So if the 5th and 6th generation consoles, say up to the Dreamcast era, are what you are interested in, save some cash and go for the Pocket 4. Whatever model you choose, you can be sure that you're getting a great handheld that represents great value for money. You can order either model from us at DROIX.co.uk and DROIX.net and use the discount code RP450FF on the checkout. The code is valid for 1 month of this video being posted and cannot be used during store sales or other promotions. Thank Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video as it helps to grow this channel. See you back in the next one.
I must return fire!